Okay, welcome everybody to a visit in the circle. Super excited to do this with Monica Abbott, and I'm Amanda Scarborough. Whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recorded version of this, we hope that you just are able to take, if you're able to take 2 or 3 things from this, that's a win. Like 100%, that's a win. Grab your journal, grab a notebook, maybe you go back and watch the recording and take some notes, but be here to be able to learn, absorb some information, and just hang out with us. We're really, really excited for this. So Monica, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and such a great idea. And you know me, I love pitching, right? So it's something that I'm passionate about, love talking about, love doing all the things. So it's fun to be able to speak about our game, our side of the game with someone that's been there at the high level and knows all about it too. So
Yeah, not as high as you, because you played at the highest level, but did all that I could, during my time. But look forward to hearing more insight from you and just everything that you've accomplished. Quick intro that we can just both do for both of us, because maybe there's some people on here who don't know me or don't know your background a bit. But for those who might be new here, David said that his 10-year daughter enjoyed going to your camp in Idaho Falls earlier this season. So that's great. Thanks, David, for that input there. I'm Amanda Scarborough. I am currently in Austin, Texas. That is where I live. I'm from Houston. I played at Texas A&M. And there I played in a couple of World Series. I was a 2-time All-American there. Got hurt my senior year, so didn't actually end up playing past college like all the years that Monica has, but instead ended up just starting my own business and giving pitching lessons and clinics and also calling games on ESPN. And that's what I do now. I call the World Series for almost 10 years now, believe it or not, because I can't believe that it's been that long,
wow.
as well as the Little League. I know, crazy. The Little League
Wow.
Softball World Series is coming up. I call that as well, and Athletes Unlimited. And then I own Pitching Angel, which is out to help as many young pitchers all over the country and the world really as possible. Like that's me, and literally like a 30-second intro nutshell, but I'm super passionate about pitching, just like you, I think.
Wow, Amanda, like seriously, like, is there anything you don't do? Like, you're doing it all. You're doing it all really well too. So love hearing you on TV, and obviously you're putting out such great content for our young pitchers with Pitching Angel as well. So yeah.
Okay, what's your background? Tell us,
Oh my gosh.
all of your background. Where are you from? Like, I bet a lot of people might not even know where you're from or anything.
All right. Well, my name's Monica Abbott. I'm a left-handed 6-foot pitcher, and what am I known for? I'm known for my rise ball. I'm known for throwing my fireball, which I like to call it. I hold the Guinness Book of World Records, world's fastest pitch at 77 miles per hour. I'm a 2-time Olympic medalist. I played professionally both in Japan for Toyota Motor Corporation for 14 years, and I played professionally in the US for 16. I went to the University of Tennessee, North Salinas High School, and born and raised in Salinas, California. It's a small community. We grow lots of fruits and veggies, Central Coast. And yeah, since if I'm not playing, I'm always doing something involved, whether it's teaching or clinics or social or all the things. So I do a little bit of everything. I have a massive email list and put clinics on and do motivational speeches all across the country. And I wrote a book recently, and I just feel like it's just one thing. A lot of things, who knows? But that's my softball career. I retired recently from the playing field in last February. So looking forward to finding new and inspiring ways to be involved in the sport.
What's your favorite thing to coach at your clinics? Like, what's your I'm sure you like to coach at like all things pitching, but like when it really comes down to it, like what's your faves?
Okay. Well, I feel like clinics, I really try to focus on mechanics, because I'll say there's a lot of really good coaches out there, but there's a lot of people that are kind of misled in some ways. So I really like to reinforce some of our big mechanical things, some things that I always love teaching. I love teaching arm speed. I love, obviously, leg drive's a big one. I talk a lot about posture in your pitching. And then really just, I want to create an event that it's a moment for these young girls that they can go away with something that's powerful and strong that they can do. We start there with mechanics, and then we try to build up speed, right? That's what I'm known for. How many of you want to throw harder, right? Like we all
They're
do.
all raising their hand. I can
We're
tell
all
you.
raising our hands here. We all want to throw faster, or we want
Yeah.
to create a faster spin, right? And if we create faster spin, we get more explosive break. Explosiveness and power kind of come together. So yeah.
If you're a pitcher in the chat right now that like kind of wants to gain speed, say me. Like,
Yeah.
who is a pitcher that wants to gain speed right now? I mean, Karina is in there, Morgan is in there, Zane, Aubrey, Jackie.
Can I put it in there?
Yeah, I know that you're always like a stickler for like wanting to just be your best and continue to grow.
Yeah.
Another Morgan said me, Tori, I mean, on and on and on. I feel like that's probably the biggest question that I get asked, Mon, is how can my pitcher gain speed? And we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's tease that a little bit, because I know that that's something that maybe people will sign on late and they'll for sure want to hear that live. But go all the way back to like when you started. How old were you when you started pitching, and why did you start?
Well, it's kind of a different era of softball, I will say, that I grew up in. I followed my sister into the sport. She's the one that wanted to play. So I followed her into the sport. It was a family affair from the very beginning. And then yeah, it kind of went from there. Let's see. I started pitching when I was 12, 5th grade. Yeah, in the middle of 5th grade softball season. So spring is when I started pitching. And our team had one pitcher and they needed a second one. And so my older sister had moved up an age bracket, and I was still 1 year underneath her. So she had already started pitching, and I was catching for her, and I hated it. And I was like, let me pitch. And my mom was just like, Monica, you're full of it. No way. Like, you don't even like softball. Like, you're there for candy and, chasing foul balls and friends and cheers and all the good stuff. And I was like, she made me really work for a pitching lesson. And it wasn't until pitching that I think that I really fell in love with the game.
So you started kind of late. I mean, 12 years old, I feel like would be considered like late. Obviously not late for you because you made it work, but was that ever like a question in your mind or your parents' mind of like, this might be too late?
Yeah. I feel like no, because at 12, I would say I had a little bit more body awareness and coordination. I was still growing like a weed, like I grew so much and all of that, but I think it took me time. Like, it takes time to find your position and the thing that like really works and clicks for you. And so I had tried every other position. I played outfield, I played shortstop, I played second base. Like, they knew I had a good arm, but like, where could they put me? And so it wasn't until pitching that I kind of felt like finally I have a home on the softball field. And so I do feel like it's a little bit of a late start, but I guess it worked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How old were you when you started?
Yeah. So I was 9. It's funny, actually 8 or 9. I actually just posted about this story on my Facebook page today and my Instagram. So very random. But I started because we went from like coach pitch to like pitcher pitch. And my dad volunteered me to be the one that pitched. Yeah. And so he, did his best to try to teach me without YouTube and Facebook and like any kind of videos or anything. He just did his best. And then eventually, like after a year, we went to lessons.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. And then did you keep a consistent coach all the way through?
So I had one coach who started me, and then I ended up not going to him anymore because it just wasn't working out for like after a year. And then I stayed with my next coach, who I attribute like all my mechanics and everything that really got me my best development. I was with her for like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And then I went to a different coach for like my final 2 years. What about you? Like, what was your lesson story?
Um, what did I do? I feel like I actually stayed with the same coach all the way through, but there was a point like I started with the coach, and then I was really good at like watching and learning, so I wanted to imitate a lot. And that helped me be successful. But there was definitely a point like later in my high school career or in high school where it was kind of obvious to both the coach and myself that like, hey, you're still coming to lessons, but you've probably outgrown me. Like you've outgrown kind of what I can do, and I'm still trying to help you, but it's really like you're kind of like past what he could have taught me to continue. He did great. He taught me the rise ball, taught me a bunch of things. But I think at one point we both kind of knew I still had a year, maybe 2 years of high school softball left, but it was like, okay, at that point, did I want to like try to venture into finding a new coach, or would it be better off for me to just stay where I'm at and try to stick with this coach until I, leave for college?
I think a really cool part about thinking about your story and my story is that our height differences, because I think that a lot of people see me as a like shorter pitcher. And of course, a lot of people see you as a taller pitcher, right? But I think it just goes to show, Mon, that like you can be any size and any height, and be able to be a successful pitcher. Cause I'm 5'5", and how tall are you?
I'm 6'3", so, but people always say that, and I will say I do feel like I started a trend in softball with all these tall pitchers, but I really do believe it's not really about the height in pitching. It's really about how you use your body and how you're able to generate some of the big things you hear at all your lessons: leg drive, a firm front side, how you're able to generate and create an explosive movement.
Yeah, I agree. How tall are you guys in the chat? Let us know. Like, we're curious. I guess the same height as Karina, and she's 12 years
Yeah.
old and I'm 37. So, Karina, looks like you're going to have some growing ahead of you. Kelly is 5'5", Liv is 5 foot, Tracy is 5'4".
Oh, I saw 5'11".
Yeah, there's a 5'11" in there. Somebody's 4'10", 4'11". Super
Yeah.
cool. Like, it just is interesting because I think that our, not just pitching, but I think that our sport is a sport that you can be like any size really and be able to play it. How did you like, what was, I get asked this a lot. And I know that when I asked people about like questions of wanting to hear from you, one of the more popular ones was how did you get recruited? Because I think a lot of these girls who are 12, 13, 11, like that's kind of their next step, right? Is to like kind of go into the recruiting world and have a chance possibly to play college softball. So what was recruiting like for you?
Oh, recruiting for me. Okay, so I would say for me, one thing that I always like to tell people about my recruiting story is that I didn't leave. I played in my hometown, or my kind of like somewhat, the county area's organization. So I had opportunities to, go to this bigger name travel ball teams and do all of that. But I stayed on my organization's travel ball team, granted that they were going to the right tournaments, like, your big recruiting tournaments throughout the summers. And so I always like to share that, just because sometimes I think we immediately look for something better, right? But I think it's super important to recognize what is better and what can you do better. And so what can you do better to basically just water the grass that you're in, like, because sometimes being able to stand out on your team is more important than being able to like just fall in line on another team's name. So I just want to encourage people to think about that instead of always looking for the next best thing every year. So I played on the same travel ball team all the way through. We went to our big tournaments in Colorado. We went to the nationals and the big qualifiers. The one really cool thing about my recruiting story is I actually haven't told a lot of people this, but when I was really young, I had like this incredible game. I was in 14U and I threw, okay, this is going to sound very Monica Abbott-y, but I threw a 21 strikeout game, and it was in a qualifier for nationals. And there wasn't a single college coach. It was just like, there was no recruiting coaches there. Like, this is just like, we're fighting it out, trying to make nationals. 21 strikeouts, our team wins. We end up it wasn't even like the championship game or anything. Like, we end up going on in the tournament, we end up qualifying for nationals. But that tournament, the next year I went to 16U, but that tournament, the director of the tournament, the other teams, coaches who had daughters that played, the other teams, coaches that had played in college were there, and they started to be like, oh, you should see this girl. She threw 21 strikeouts. You know, she did really good. So I think that sometimes the word of mouth and like the credibility of the people in your circle or around you is really important to keep in mind. And having that standout moment like will help you get recognized. And it doesn't always matter like where you have it, right? Like, we were at like just a regional local tournament, and all of a sudden it became like a thing. Oh, did you hear about this girl? Like, I think her name's like Monica, like, you know, and then it started to like word of mouth started to travel through. Oh, I heard about this girl. Like, I heard about her. And then I started to get, you know, some notice, and people started to, you know, come watch me play at those tournaments, at those bigger tournaments.
I think it just goes to show, and it's just such a learning lesson that like, what are you doing when nobody's watching? Like, that is a common theme at every single level of your life. Like, whether it's like in my office when nobody's watching and I'm like putting in the work, or at practice and hitting off a tee, or pitching without a catcher, like, what are you doing when nobody's watching? Because those are the things that add up. And when I say that, I know people were at your game and watching, and that's what helps, right? Like the support community and the network that you were talking about. But at the same time, you weren't doing that or like being your best because there were 25 coaches in the stands and like you knew you had to be your best. So it's like truly like nobody in terms of college recruiting was watching, and then like you still perform, you were still your best. You did it because you love to do it and love to be your best, not because coaches were watching.
Yeah, I really think it goes back to, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it, but that also goes back to, I think, just being in the moment, but also being competitive, right? Like, how are you competing against your opponents, your other team? How are you competing against yourself, or competing for us pitchers, each pitch, right? Every at bat, like, why is this girl got to hit 3 foul balls off of me? Like, no, I'm tired of you. Like, I'm tired of you hitting foul balls. Like, let's get you out. So just going back to like really harnessing into your competitive spirit and allowing that to like really showcase who you are as an athlete.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that everybody can really benefit from that. And there's like the internal competitiveness and like external competitiveness too. And I kind of think that you need to have both, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can't just be one way or the other, because when you're practicing, you got to be competitive with yourself. And then when you're playing, you get to be competitive with others too. Did Lexi asked, did both of you play on travel teams? Really quick, what was your travel team name?
I played for the Storm.
Okay, the Storm. Yeah, and that's the team that you were with, you're like all growing up, right?
Yeah, I played for one of my very first travel ball team was different, like out of when I first joined, and then I went over to the Storm, which had the older age groups.
Okay.
And I stayed with them all the way through.
I played for Impact Gold, and then I actually played for a Storm too. My last year ended up switching teams. So that's ironic. I didn't actually think about that before. Then you ended up going to Tennessee, graduate from Tennessee with like all kinds of honors and things. But what was your favorite Tennessee memory? What comes to mind?
I had some really good, I think honestly, that first year we went to the Women's College World Series, just like our team hadn't been, it'd been a long time. So it was definitely one of those, like everyone was starry-eyed and everyone felt that way. The school really rallied around us. You know, people were calling, you know, Pat Summitt came to the game. Peyton Manning was calling us like the heroes of Tennessee sports and athletics. So I think that part, just like the starry-eyedness of everyone having that first time experience together, is one of my favorite memories. And then I'm also like, the one thing that I'm really proud of is probably just like how much I evolved as an athlete from and as a person from like my freshman year to my senior year. I think you really change, not only as a person as you grow up, but you just really start to understand yourself as a pitcher, a lot better. So I just think that body of work for 4 years, I'm really proud of that.
I think that's something that, I mean, you've just always been good at. You just always seem like somebody that wants to continue to grow and get better, whether it was you in 12U, you know, when you first started, or through like high school and then at Tennessee and beyond, but you just always have strived for more. Dante wants to ask me, was Monica the top pitcher all the years that you were in college?
What do you mean by top
Like,
pitcher?
like I think maybe the #1 pitcher at Tennessee.
Oh, yes, I was the ace at Tennessee.
All 4 years.
Yeah, all 4 years. And I did really well, like NCAA wise, like I'm one of the only pitchers to have 500 strikeouts every year, every season.
Yeah, I
I
know.
think
It's
I
just
actually might be the
insane.
only one or something like that.
It's crazy. You were, I did read that about you. How much work, this is from Aubrey, how much work did you put in when you were younger to get to where you were in college? It's a great question.
That is a really good question. I think when I was like maybe that middle school age, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I would say that I was very like just consistent with my workout. Like I was very much a routine, like came home from school, I would do my stuff, and then I would go pitch in the backyard or pitch in the street wherever I had time or could find someone to catch for me. That wasn't a net.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I had that joy, if I had that person. But once I got into high school, my practices kind of changed a little bit more because my club team was doing like those Saturday long practices and all of that. So that's when I started to really pick up putting in extra time with my coaches or going to lessons a lot more consistently. So yeah.
Cheryl asked, did you two play against each other? We did. We played against each other one game in 2007. It was the opening game of the Women's College World Series. And actually, I don't know if you know this, or maybe you do, but for a long time, we had the record of that game of like most strikeouts in a World Series game. I want to say for like, I was in 2000, I want to say for like 10 years, that was held as the record. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Tennessee A&M, the game that we played, was the record for like combined strikeouts between two pitchers. That was for a while. And then of course, records are made, you know, to get broken.
That's funny. The only one of the things I remember at that game is I was so nervous, and I was like nervous and excited, like because I walked like we were the home, Tennessee was home. And I'm sure you remember this, but I walked the bases loaded, like could not hit a strike for like 3 batters in a row, like just like throwing balls. I was really like nervous.
See, but it just
Like
goes to
amped up.
I love that you say that, because it just goes to show that, like, I guarantee all the pitchers who are watching have felt that way at some point. Maybe it was 4 years ago for them. Maybe it was just in a game that they played last weekend. Maybe it's going to be in a game that they have upcoming, but like that's real. Like that's actually like what happens to pitchers. Like you feel nerves and anxiety. And like, how did you end up working through that? Like, what are your best tips for that?
I was so nervous. I'll never forget it. I was just like so excited because I was like, yes, like this is our year. We're going to be so good. Like I'm a senior, you know, like we're pitching great. This is probably the best team that our team Tennessee had while I was there. And I just remember like the ball was just breaking too much. Like if you ever like have thrown and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's such a good pitch. Like, wow, did you see how much it moved?
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the strike zone.
And then we took it. So props to the Texas A&M Aggies for walking the bases loaded.
I remember my pitching coach like called timeout and he came out. He's like, Monica, And he like put his hand over his mouth and he's like, Monica, you have got to calm down. I haven't seen you throw this many balls ever.
Yeah.
I was like, I know, I'm so nervous. I can't, the ball's just breaking too much. And I looked at him with wide eyes and he's like, you realize we need to win this game, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
I
important,
kind
the
of
first
zoned
game of the
in.
World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I zoned back in and we were able to, and we ended up being able to get out of the inning.
Yeah,
So,
and then you won. The score was like 2-0. Tennessee scored
yeah.
late in
Then
the
I
game.
struck out the side. That was kidding. I'm
And
just
okay,
I
yes,
wouldn't
you
do that
did.
to you.
And you ended up throwing a no-hitter, but we
Did
only,
I really? That's funny.
yeah,
The
I think you did.
first inning walks the bases loaded,
And then throws a no-hitter.
throws a no-hitter.
Yeah, so we ended
That's
up losing that
hilarious.
game, but it was a great game. Ralph Weekley,
Yeah.
one of Monica's former head coaches, still will pull me aside and talk to me about that game.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about your rise ball. Just a couple of, if you could bring in like just a couple of tips that maybe some of these pitchers could use that like got you the rise ball that you had and that you're known for. What are your favorite tips? And do you have a ball? Could you show us your grip?
Okay, the rise ball. Okay, first thing I would say, like, I always say snap at the lowest point of your arm circle. So your arm's in like a clock, right? So a lot of times people try to snap the rise ball at 7.
Yeah, 7. So you want it at 6.
Yeah, you need to be at 6 o'clock. So you need to be at 6. Okay. So like sometimes people will snap at like 7 or 8, a little bit too late. So snap at the lowest point of your arm circle. And that's going to be different for everyone depending on how long your stride is, right? So just keep that in mind. The second thing is keep your arm as close to your body as possible. That's going to help give you tighter spin. And the last one would be make sure you snap first before you go to finish. A lot of times people try to snap and finish at the same time instead of snapping the wrist up and then going to finish.
And then what's your grip? Those are 3 great
I
tips.
just do like a split. I do a split grip. I like 2 on one side. Yeah. Sometimes I do like, so this is on the 2 seam. I either split here or I can do 2 on one side. There you go.
How did you decide which one you wanted to use? Was it day by day? Was it year by year? How did you decide, game by game?
When I first started, kind of like I would say year by year. So like when I first started pitching and I needed more movement, I did 2 on one side, but then it started to break too much, or break too early. So I had to find a way to get more control of it. So then I kind of just altered it to whatever felt best. Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's a great tip of just like kind of keep playing and keep like trying different grips and see. It might be like every 6 months, like maybe one kind of works differently for you, right?
Yeah, I think it's too. Sometimes I think whether it's a rise ball or anything, just like your placement on the seam, like where your finger is next to the seam versus like here versus there, like that, those sort of things make a big difference. If you are starting to be like, hey, I throw, here's a pro tip. If you guys are out there and you're like, wow, like I'm throwing my rise ball so good, I'm throwing my curve ball like so good right now, like go grab the ball in your glove and like get your grip, like you're gonna pitch it, and then come out and then just outline your fingers, like just draw your fingers on the ball so that you can see what your fingers looked like when it was good.
Oh, that's
where your placement of your fingers were.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. And before you put up
go
your
back
ball,
to it, if it's like starting to like,
like no,
not be good, you're like, oh gosh, I'm struggling. Okay, well, let me go back to it. How's oh my gosh, my hand, my thumb was way over here, like.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I want everybody who is a part of this, go ahead and get out your phones because I'm sure that people want to see your grip one more time.
Why are you putting me on the spot? I'm like nervous. It's like I'm playing.
Oh, no. I have two cool things that we're going to do. One is grab your phone, everybody. So this is like, and we're going to do this for like 20 seconds because I know how this works. I will say, grab your phone. And then like 60 seconds later, I'm like, I missed it. Nope. This is your only chance right now. You can go back and watch the recording. So grab your phone, put on your camera, and Monica will show her grip for 5 seconds. I will count. So hold it up. Monica will show her grip. You can take a video, you can take a picture, whatever it is that you want to do. And I have one more cool thing to do after this, and it's not just about you. It'll be about both of us. Okay. So hold up your grip. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now keep your phone out. And I think it would be super cute if all of you guys like turned around and me and Monica are on the screen, right? Grab your phone and take a selfie with me and Monica. We'll be on the screen, and then you guys can tag us, put us in your story, post us, but whatever it is, like tag us, and just, you'll have a picture with us. So grab your phones, get ready for the selfie, and Monica, we're going to smile for 5 seconds. I'm not going to count. Okay, ready? Go. Okay. Who got a picture with us? Comment in the chat if you got it. That's the last time that we're going to do it. Who got a picture with us? You better tag us. Karina got it. Emily got it. You guys got to post it on social media and tag us. I did this about a year ago for something, and it was super cute how it turned out. I love being able to see, oh, we're on our phone. Zane, you can go back and watch the recording and still be able to take a picture because we were like kind of cheesing it up. Yeah. Cool. Okay, a couple more questions for you because I want to keep this closer to 30 minutes, but it's probably going to be more like 45 because that's just how things go, but it won't be an hour. But okay, we talked about your rise ball. Yeah. Next thing that I want to ask you is that consistency of just like you wanting to gain speed over time. I know that whether you were 35 or 31 or 28, at any time that I was talking to you, like that was important to you, just to not stay the same, that you wanted to continue to push. You said that you're the World Guinness Book record holder of fastest pitch in softball, what was the speed, by the way?
77
miles an hour. Absolutely insane.
I don't know how long that's going to stay though, after this World Series.
I know everybody was throwing like 70 plus. Naishri Kennedy is on your heels, I think.
Yeah, she's on my heels. I honestly, girl, please go for it. Please break it. Like, and honestly, like 77 shouldn't be your goal. Like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know why she couldn't hit 80. She could for sure hit 80.
So strong. Yeah. But when you think about like, what was it about like gaining speed? Not that, like, what was it that helped you, or like, how did you keep gaining speed? Because I think a lot of pitchers sometimes plateau for a long time, but what would be your biggest tips for gaining speed?
Well, I think speed wise, gosh, the reason, well, one, there's a couple of reasons why I always thought like speed was something that was important to me. One is because I had to realize like, hey, I had to come to terms with like, okay, what kind of pitcher are you, Monica? Like, are you going to be like a changeup pitcher? Are you going to be like a spinner, or are you going to be a power pitcher? So I had to be like, okay, like, no, Monica, like you already are, like, this is who you are. Like, you're already a power pitcher. You're not going to you're not going to be a changeup pitcher. You're not going to be a thumber, so to speak. So I had to come to terms with that. So once I did that, then I was like, okay, instead of thinking like, I'm not a changeup pitcher, I'm not a spinning pitcher, I thought, how can I use those pitches to make my speed feel faster? Okay. So just almost like a change in the mindset of what you're actually doing. So that's kind of how my process there. But when you think about pitching, and I thought about, so I forgot what you were asking me, speed or.
Yeah. Just like, what do you feel like have been the keys or the tips for you that just like, yes, it's the mindset for sure. I think that's a big part of it. But when it came down to it, like, what did you focus on? Was it your arm speed? Was it your front side resistance? Was it long toss? Like, what do you feel like were the things that helped you break through those barriers?
I think different things at different times helped me get through. I definitely took time where I would just focus on arm speed for a while, and then I would focus on leg drive. I would focus on like hip hinge, or am I in a proper like K position with my posture, things like that. And then I also had to be like, hey, if you want to throw hard, you got to try to throw hard. Like, if that makes sense. So especially in like your practices, I think a lot of times we're just up, especially, you throw 50, 60, 80, 100 pitches a bullpen. Well, like if you're going to be a power pitcher, how are you going to maintain your speed for 100+ pitches? Well, you got to go out there and you actually got to practice throwing hard for 100 pitches. So a lot of times we don't do that. So I had to tell myself, okay, well, if I want to reach 75, if I want to reach 77, like, okay, I got to be able to throw, my average speed needs to be 70. If I want to hit 75, my average speed needs to be 73. If I want to hit above 75, my average speed has to be 74, 75, because then you can kind of assume in game with adrenaline, you're going to get 2 to 3 miles an hour. But if you're not practicing throwing hard and keeping pitch endurance or pitching speed endurance, then it's going to go down. So you could be on pitch 90, 103, and all of a sudden your pitches are going down to 72 or 70. So I had to come to peace with the fact that like, hey, like that means your practice, like you got to go out and like try to throw hard, like on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So that you can increase your speed endurance.
Yeah. I mean, strength, of course, is a big part of it. I know that you're really big about strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
It goes into
Strength, core.
Yeah.
The X's.
Being able to throw your max effort multiple times, not just 5 times, to just backing up what you just said, not 10 times, but being able to throw to your max effort to sustain the speed that you're throwing at the beginning to 100 pitches in. That doesn't just come with like, oh, I hope I throw hard at the 100th pitch, or I really want to. Like, it's you having your body make it happen, your strongest self physically and mentally.
Yeah, and you can just keep working to increase your max as you start to like get pitching endurance. You start to work, or speed endurance, you can start to increase your max. And you can do that in a variety of healthy ways that are really healthy for your team. Like I wouldn't tell you, if you're 12 years old right now, to go out and throw like 120 pitches at 120% right now. Like you have to build it up slowly over time. And you can do various drills and exercises or strength training, things like that, explosive training, hit training, stuff like that, to help you help complement it.
What was like your favorite drill when you look back? Like, was there a drill that you did just maybe growing up or maybe in college that you used professionally? What was your favorite drill?
My favorite drill? Oh gosh. I don't know. Maybe step-ons.
Step on, like walk-ups or step?
Yeah, well, some people call them walk. Well, are you walking or are you
Running, or are you just stepping?
Yeah, yeah, step-ons.
Would you take one step or 2, or how many?
It's like a baby step and then a strong step. So it's really just one step.
Okay. So like if you're left-handed, you would go like right foot and then aggressive left foot and then go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Step-ons.
Okay, cool. Yeah, step-ons.
I don't know. Do you call those walk-ons? I don't know. I feel like walk-ons is like 1, 2 pitch.
Yeah. So it's like a baby step and then a really powerful step.
The baby step is just like, because you got to get yourself into your body into position.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else asked this, and Red Rocket Girl did, but it's kind of along the same lines. What would you tell yourself, like when, you weren't throwing as fast as you wanted or whatever? But I think a better question that I want to ask you that kind of goes off of that is like, what was maybe the hardest thing that you went through, or something, an adversity that comes to mind, and how did you overcome it?
Pitching wise?
Yeah.
I would say probably the hardest adversity for me was like pitching wise, or like just as a pitch, I would say like learning would probably be learning to throw a changeup consistently. I like struggled so much with it just because I was creating speed. Like I couldn't understand how to stop my body or stop my arm or slow it down without showing it to people.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot of failure experiences with that. And I also like felt so much pressure on it because I knew as I got older, how, as I went on to college, as I was, playing in high school championships and stuff like that, I knew how important it was for, not for my team to be successful. And that hurt even more because it made me not success. I don't know what hurt more, the fact that I was failing or is that I was letting the team down. Like,
Yeah.
So the changeup was definitely probably one of the hardest pitches for me to be able to learn how to control and how to just have a speed difference without showing people. Yeah.
When do you feel like you finally got it? Because I think that a lot of people look, I didn't have a great changeup either. When I showed at a clinic now though, I'm like, oh my God, this is like my best pitch. Like I nail it. Like my changeup is seriously like, it's awesome, but I did
Yeah.
not have a great changeup in college, but I know that a lot of girls also go through this. So how long did it take you to finally like really get it? Do you think?
Oh gosh. The thing is I think I tried every single changeup there possibly is, and like every variation of changeups. And like, so what would happen to me is they would work, right? And then they would go cold. They would go like ice cold. And all of a sudden I would be throwing this changeup like that a month ago, I was throwing like 55. I'd be throwing it like 60 or 65. Like, and I couldn't, it was like hitting speed compared to what my fastball was at the time. So like, it was getting rocked.
Yeah.
So I don't think like, probably not until maybe my senior year or even like the Olympics. I feel like even like in my pro years, I feel like that's when my changeup finally became like a pitch I could count on and be a go-to. But I think it was very like up and down my entire college career.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was tough. That you really summed it up. Have you talked about that very much public? Like, I don't feel like, I don't know if you talked about it a lot or if I've heard you talk about it a lot.
About my changeup?
Yeah. Just like that being a difficult part of just your career and what you went through. Have you talked about that before? Do you talk about it in your book?
I don't know. I don't remember. I probably do honestly talk about it because
Yeah.
there's like a really good section about my Tennessee years and just like that growth period and the highs and lows that I went through. That kind of came full circle. It's actually one of the chapters I'm really proud of. But yeah, the changeup, it's weird because now I feel like I teach the changeup really well. I can like teach the changeup really well, probably because I threw like every single possible
Yeah.
one, had
You
to
keep
like
them up.
had to figure it out eventually. But yeah, but it was definitely not an easy path.
What ended up working for you? Like what, also Jocelyn said, I enjoyed reading your book. Her book is called Rise and
Thanks,
Shine.
Joss.
Link soon, but what ended up working for you? Like what was the change up that like made it happen? How would you describe it?
Honestly, I don't even know. I ended up like having a hybrid between like 3 different changeups that just, and people will be like, so what kind of changeup do you throw? I'm like, oh God, like it's a hybrid, like, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you because I didn't make it up. It just works. So let's
Yeah.
not analyze. But what really helped me a lot was figuring out how to like firm up with, I think the combination, I can say this better. What helped me on my changeup was finding the balance between like aggressiveness and being relaxed through it.
So
Aggressive relaxation, kind of.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
like what's the right word for that? When
like
it's like,
opposites.
yeah,
It's
but
like an
what's the
opposite
word
thing.
for it? It's like the hottest cold thing or like there's
Yeah,
I forget the word for it. It'll come to me, I'm sure.
Is
Like,
it an oxymoron?
yes, I think that might, yes,
I think it's
do it.
oxymoron.
Yes,
Yeah.
oxymoron.
Yeah.
Okay, so we mentioned your book.
Tracy said it too. Thanks,
Yeah,
Tracy.
yeah, Tracy's on
There we
it.
go.
Lexi said she's currently reading your book, but what's it called and why did you write it?
So my book is called, let me grab one. Hold
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So the book I wrote is called Rise and Shine, the Monica Abbott story. And well, I just felt like we needed a softball book out there, folks. Like,
Yeah,
no, I feel like, I'm really grateful for the career and the opportunities I had in this sport. And I think growing up and like kind of seeing the evolution of women's sports, seeing the evolution of softball players and the opportunities that we've had over the years continue to grow and like exponentially now, even now. I just felt like so many people have followed me and I've been, across the country all these times, like, why not put the story down? Like how did she do it? Like, what's the truth behind like the right, not the rise ball, but behind, the story at Tennessee, or actually, how did I get into the sport, or what motivated me or inspired me, and life as a pro. And when I look out there, like there's I can count maybe 5 books by a softball player, like maybe 5. So I just kind of thought, why not share my story, have an inspirational story. The softball world needs more opportunities to be able to share their stories. And I thought, why not be one to do it? Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully
inspired
it's good.
me to write
Yeah,
one. Hey, while I ask this next question, the answer in the chat, do you want to grab a link for us to put in the chat? I forgot to ask
sure.
you for that, but for all of you guys, if anybody has read Monica's book, it's called Rise and Shine. Lexi, I see that you've read it. She says that it's one of the best books so far. Evelyn's excited. Who have any more of you guys read it? We'll get you a link in just a second. Michelle says, love it. I don't know if she loves the idea of your book or if she actually loves your book, but all around some good energy around live and shine, rise and shine. Is it Kaya or Kaya? Is that how you say it? Emily wants to read it. Kaya wants to read it. Abby M is about a quarter of the way through, and there's the link. I'm going to go ahead and click on that too, so that I have the link. I will email everybody the link as well as the recording whenever we get done. Gia, I think, is actually posting under Dante, if I read the chat earlier, getting this right, but she says I haven't read it, but she's super excited.
Nice.
Last question about it, but what do you hope that softball players like get out of it? Like, why should they read it? Like, what do you want them to get out of it?
I think the biggest thing is for them to have a model, right? Like not like a role model of like, hey, I want to be like this athlete, but I have a model and a game plan of what it looks like, right? What does it look like to get to college? What does it look like to play professionally? What does it look like to be an Olympian? We don't always have all these game plans or stories of how they come out, right? Like how did this actually happen? Like she played travel ball. There's millions of girls that play travel ball across the country. Like how did this one gal make it all the way through? So I think it kind of gives a little bit of a roadmap and a game plan of a story, and then how you can modify your own story to reach your goals, right?
Yeah. And then there was the A-list, or what's it called
Yeah.
too? The cute thing that you have as well. I forget the name of it.
Yeah. So Abbott's A-list
Yes.
is, hold on, let me get the link for this now.
I want to be a part of Abbott's A-list. I mean, my name starts with an A, so
You're an honorary member. So Abbott's A-list is, let me get a copy. Hold on. I should have been prepared.
Yeah, thanks for joining, guys. I've absolutely loved like you guys commenting in the chat and being a part of this.
So Abbott's A-list.
Oh my gosh, Gia said that her mom said that she could get a copy. She's so excited to get your book.
Yay, Gia, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Morgan said, yeah, thanks, Morgan. Thanks, Monica. There's Abbott's A list. Awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, hold it
Okay,
up.
so this is Abbott's A-list, and what I kind of talk about, if I always say, if this is the story, like this is the motivational story and game plan. This is the how-to. So this is like a workbook style of different things that there's 14, obviously, Monica Abbott 14. 14 actions of how to get more out of life in sport. And there's 14 points. So like number 4 is develop a routine. So it talks about kind of different routines that you can do. It helps you write down routines, like my routine before I step onto the mound. What's my pregame routine? What's this sort of thing? So Abbott's A-list I talk about is more like the how-to of it. So if you have the inspiring motivational story, like Abbott's A-list is the how behind it. It's the action plans that you can apply to your life.
Really great. How do we get
Yeah.
a hold of your A-list? Monica posted the link in here. I'll also put that in the email that I send everybody with the recording too. Any just final parting advice or words of wisdom that you wanted to share with them before we head out?
I would say, what should I say? Like I've said so much.
I know it's been great. Absolutely anything that I don't know that you feel like we didn't cover, or words of advice that people gave you, or just any final thoughts.
I would say, I guess one thing is I just want to say thank you guys for being here. And I know also just want to say thank you for supporting me through my career. You know, I played a really long time. So I know many of you either watched, supported, somehow were involved in it, or talked to me about your daughter, or inspired by my pitching style, all of those things. I just want to say thank you for that. But I think you guys, like, literally anything is possible. And I know it's something that's said a lot, but if you're willing, I think that's the key. If you're willing to put in the effort, not just the work, you got to put in the effort. And if you're willing to be consistent in that effort, the world will open up to you. And that doesn't matter what it's in, whether it's softball, life, or music, or dance, or basketball, whatever it is that you feel passionate about. If you're willing to put the effort into it, anything is possible.
Because there is a difference between work and effort, don't you think?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Lexi just said, I just want to say thank you. This has helped me more than everything. The book has helped me. I was struggling for a little bit, but the book really
Oh my God.
helps. And then Michael Lawson says, geeking out. Absolutely love seeing and listening to you guys this evening. Thank you for being such a force in the sport and being role models we can all rally behind to help grow the sport and keep pitchers safely throwing the heat. That's always the key for sure. Yeah, thank you, Karina. All right. Well, thank you guys for showing up. Monica, thanks for taking the time. Seriously, time flies by. Like, I don't even know how this has almost been an hour. Like, I can't even comprehend it.
I had a feeling. I know how we get, but thank you for having me, and everyone, thank you so much for not only being fans of Amanda and myself and of Pitching Angel, but also of the sport of softball and of pitching.
Absolutely.
Pitchers are the best.
Yes, pitchers are the best for sure.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
No, it's all about us, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank all of you guys so much. I'll be sure to email you the recording, and we'll talk to you soon. Follow Monica and myself on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, all the things. You can find us.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Mom.
Night. Bye.
Bye.